1 year. We did that by listening to the teachers, listening to the parents, listening to all of our stakeholders. I want to listen to education to bring about real educational change.
I might ask the audience to hold your applause, or we won't get through as many questions, and we'd like to hear as much as we can from the candidates. Do we have any follow-ups?
Mr. Lewis, can I just follow up? The question was about the $200 million cut last year, and maybe to expound upon that, you gave some answers as to the quality of education, but if you could speak to the cuts, and if we have another financial situation going forward, which we can debate whether or not it's going to be another budget cut, well, what can we do to continue to fund education in the face of possibly more cuts?
The funding of education is, as I mentioned, has to become a top priority. We need to make sure, though, that those dollars are being used to compensate great teachers. If we're focusing our dollars on just the same old, we're going to get the same old result. We need to make sure that the funding that we receive is maximized to its utmost potential so that great teachers get great pay, so that we can attract and retain those great teachers. We've lived the budget cuts for the last 3 years. Our teachers understand it, but we've cut away everything we possibly could. I was a receptionist, a principal, a nurse sometimes, a marketer, substituted, did a lot of things. That's what you do when you don't have the funds to do so. But we made it work.
Senator Pearce.
Yeah, again, I thought I answered that, but I appreciate the follow-up. I thought it was very important. Again, the things you have to do with education, make sure your dollars are spent well, first of all, like I said. School choice is one of the great things. Not only is it cost-effective, it saves money, but it provides a parent with the opportunity they need to make the good choices for their child. But we have set a priority for schools, and like I've talked about, we've got to work with John Huppenthal, with the governor. We're actually moving forward on a grade system that would measure the success of our schools, put together transparency, performance standards, and again, spend our dollars really good. I have to agree, I'm very, very committed to a pay-for-performance of our teachers, that we pay those teachers that excel, that produce high academic results in the classroom, get rewarded. Secondly, one of the things we must do is move our dollars out of administration to the classroom. More is
Ms. Blazey.
I think they actually covered what I was going to ask about, so if it's all right, we'll move on to the next question. Local employers have indicated that they have trouble finding enough qualified candidates from Arizona educational institutions in technical fields such as engineering, math, and the sciences. Please give your views on whether, and if so, how, we should encourage closer relationships between our colleges and universities and our employers.
Mr. Lewis, let's start.
Thank you. Again, it comes back to listening to those educational leaders. We need to sit down with the elementary school principals, the high school principals, the superintendents, the board of regents, the presidents of the universities, and the business people. We need to hear what they're asking for, and we need to make sure that they're communicating. And when they speak, we need to listen. I met recently with Dr. Cowan, Mesa Public Schools, and he said, you know, it's the first time someone's come and asked me, what can we do as a state to help Mesa Public Schools achieve their goals? He related to me how he was cut $22 million here recently, and he was told how to cut that. He says, if we cut us, that's fine. We understand that. This is a tough economy. But if we have the flexibility to decide where those cuts should be, it will be a lot easier for us to achieve our academic excellence that we are so used to having in Mesa.
Two issues that cover right home to me on that. First of all, we just had a huge event at the Mayo Clinic. Talk about a collaboration between the private industry and the hospital, ASU and the hospital, and the private sector. So it was a huge issue of bringing exactly the same, marrying those needs with the educational institutes to make sure they can deliver. And it's the first of its kind in this measure in the United States. It's a huge, I won't get a great deal of the other issue is, when you talk about getting the kind of workers you need to do the kind of jobs that are available, Even is another great example. Just got national awards for bringing, because not everything deserves or needs a college degree. You have to have skilled laborers. Even is a classic example of producing the kinds of folks, almost all of them have a job the day they leave Even. What a great example Even is in terms of the fact of recognizing the needs of our community and responding to the needs of our community.
Any follow-up? Next question. Oh, wait, Ms. All-Hands?
How specifically can we encourage more people to go to an institute of higher education? And
We need to work with the elementary students right at the very beginning. We have to promote this at the very youngest levels possible. Great teachers do that. They just don't see them going beyond 6th grade into junior high school. They see them now coming out of college, going on to university, getting advanced degrees. We need to work with them at a very young age by instilling character training, by teaching them, especially with a lot of our underprivileged students, that they do not have to have the same style of living their families have had. They can break out of that. Great teachers can do that, and I've seen how that works. We take our students over to ASU, we show them the campus. We let them walk around, we let them go into the classrooms. We let them meet with the students and the faculty so they can see that this is something that I want to do. We let them choose what their favorite university is going to be. Some of them want to go to Princeton, some of them want to go to ASU, some of them want to go to schools we've never even heard of, but they want to go there. It starts at a young age. You work with those students at a young age, and they'll want to do that when they get older.
Senator Pearce?
It certainly comes down to inspiration, there's no doubt about that. In addition to the inspiration, though, there's got to be a job they know they're going to get when they get out of that, spending all those dollars and come away with, in many cases, huge debt. And so you've got to make sure there's jobs out there. Today we're graduating students and there's not jobs available for them. So we need to, again, reevaluate those that need to go to college, encourage those that want to and have a desire to again, enter the workforce with that degree. We also need to encourage more JTEDs, more even kinds of concepts too, so we'll fill in that workforce that you talked about earlier. The lack of the right kinds of folks for the right kinds of jobs. But again, you've got to inspire folks, and you do that in lots of ways. And one is, producing quality teachers to produce quality students who have a desire to go on and further their educational career.
Ms. Blazes?
Gentlemen, is there something specifically that you would do legislatively to attain those goals? We talked about inspiring, encouraging, some things that, private partnerships between schools and business, but something legislatively.
We need to make it an expectation. Okay, it has to be something that we agree with the schools, the families. We need to help students understand that this is something that they need to be doing. If they want to have the high-paying jobs that our future economies are going to require, they have to have this education. Again, I believe specifically we work with teachers to include this type of training in early on curriculum.
Senator Pearce?
I think the best example or the best result comes from good families. You've got to have an environment that starts at home, have an environment that is conducive to moving forward with education. You can't legislate success. You can't mandate folks move on. You've got to provide an environment that's conducive to their desire to do that. And one of the things we've done in Arizona so well is school choice. And I think it motivates the very issue you're talking about. When you have an environment that's good for the student, where mom and dad has decided what's best for their child, meets the needs of that child, there are much better opportunity for that child to move forward in a successful manner. And Arizona leads the nation in school choice.
We're about out of time for this segment. Mr. Groff, would you follow up, and we'll ask Senator Pearce to answer the next question.
During the past several years, there's been disagreement concerning the financial impact on the state as a result of undocumented persons living in Arizona and using public services. What responsibility does the state have to provide K-12 education to undocumented children living in Arizona?
Currently, it's a good question. Currently, the responsibility is at the state level due to a 1982 Supreme Court decision, Blather v. Dole, which was a 5-4 decision. Prior to that, there was no standard, and it's a difficult issue to deal with. The burden, you mentioned the cost. The cost in Arizona to educate, medicate, and incarcerate illegal aliens is huge. You know, during the debate, and we've talked about this before, you know, like in the debate of 1070, which simply was a codification of current law, states have inherent police powers and have a constitutional duty to enforce the law.